we did the full stroke, the Moeller stroke, and then the 4 sets of strokes that kind of come off that we need to kind of master the feel of individually, and then hopefully get them to work in a sequence. So ideally, you just want to get the free stroke really nice and natural with each hand. So what I'm doing is, I'm actually starting, sticks on neutral, your palms down, right? And you've got the stick in your loose fulcrum, which I use my thumb and my middle finger, okay? And I'm not lifting up like this, right? There's no elbow really involved. So all I'm doing is sort of that. So it's sort of like it's like throwing a dart, but I'm not even doing that. You know what I mean? It's just like that. Okay. That's just a free stroke. And you really want the stick to come back. Look how far it comes back, unimpeded. Just neutralize them before you do your next stroke. The whole point of this is just to get used to purely rebound. Look, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing an extra move. Don't do extra movements in between. This is not playing, this is practicing, right? Whoops. Okay, I'm just getting each hand used to that. Maybe after a while, you can put a rhythm on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You know, like, that's already... But what I'm doing here is, look how only my wrist moves, right? Nothing else moves. My fingers are... The only thing my fingers are doing is kind of returning it to normal. To kind of where I started. Okay. Look how it goes at the fulcrum there. Okay, so that's your free stroke. The Moeller stroke is a little different. Now the point of the Moeller stroke is to get effortless power, and it also sets up momentum. So you're going to start in your starting position, which is always going to be like a pizza V shape on the snare drum. Okay, palms down. Keep your hands loose. Now what happens here, I might need to just move this camera back. Get my arm in. A bit more. Sorry. So if I slow-mo it, okay, I pick the stick up. Imagine the tip of the stick stuck to the middle of the drum head. Okay, if I invert it, look how my elbow sort of leads that motion. Okay, so I invert it and it's dangling. Look at this. And I turn it over and I whip it. Okay, now this motion can take on different sort of sizes, I guess, because the faster you go, the smaller it gets, but you're prescribing the shape that your arm's going to follow. Okay, so you need to do it big first, and then we start to reduce it as we get used to it. So I'm going elbow, so the elbow stick inverts, whip. And look, I'm kind of, okay, now there's a few different ways you can end it. Okay, if I'm playing a backbeat, okay, you can see I'm sort of doing that, but it's a bit smaller because my sticks are now sort of crossing over each other, right? Okay, so I have to compromise it, but when I hit the snare drum, I'm kind of ending. So that's the exaggerated motion. And I'm kind of ending kind of parallel to the drum head, I guess. You can also practice going, I'm hitting myself in the shorts. Yeah. You can go, and then you practice getting a bit of a free stroke out of it. So what you're doing is all you're practicing is being able to whip the stick in the same way and get it to ricochet, but consistent, right? So every time you hit, it's pretty much in the same place on the drum. Hopefully that's the middle, but as long as it's consistent, okay? Look at also, my front finger is really like sort of disengaging. You don't really want the pinky to disengage too much, but it's okay. But The front finger is the one that actually restricts it. Okay. So Moeller, elbow, wrist, invert, whip. Elbow, wrist, invert, whip. If I make it smaller, and all I would used to do is I practice just doing that. Either getting a free stroke at the end of it or a downstroke where I'm sort of controlling where it stops, and each stick is sort of stopping parallel to the drum head, and I'm not gripping down. Like, that is really not going to help you. So you might end up with this at first. Hang on, like that. See, there's an extra, I had to catch it. You don't want that. What happens is you whip it, it hits, and then you kind of catch it with your fingers, but that should become quite gentle. And see, that was a bad one there. Okay, you know why? Because it's going to keep all your other movements consistent. If you're doing stuff like this, you get all this right, and then you kind of resetting there. Now you're adding in motions that you don't want, and it's going to add tension and weight and bad timing to your playing. Okay, now the 4 strokes. Okay, we can kind of go from we can go free stroke, we can go like a mini Moeller, which is just basically you kind of cock the wrist comes back and you throw it like you're throwing like a tennis ball, bong, bong, bong. We're doing that, bounce. But the wrist has to come back like it's got an imaginary string attached to it. Don't just do this. Okay, get used to doing this so it makes more like a flowing water, flowing chain. You know when you whip a hose pipe along the ground? That's the loose analogy. Okay, so the strokes are full down, tap up. That's your sequence, right? And to be able to control it and play it in time as a practice exercise is quite is the challenge, right? Okay, because you've got to keep the sticks are starting in the same, like you start in the middle of the snare in the V shape with your palms down. That's the real key, right? And don't flare your elbows out. Just keep them nice and loose. So you want your arms to feel and shoulders to feel pretty loose, right? You can rest the sticks on the head if you want, okay? But let's start off an inch off, okay? So let's go free stroke, maybe a mini Moeller, just being a little goose in the wrist. Full, okay? Or full, so I've controlled it now, it's 90 degrees. So there's a little bit more fingers involved. Full stroke, okay? Not all the way back. Full stroke, so whoops. Full stroke, downstroke. Okay, now down, I've gone directly like a clockwork apparatus from my 90 degree to horizontal, like about an inch off the head kind of thing, right? Why I say an inch in a specific distance, okay, because that represents control and consistency, right? And the more you tune these motions in, the more you stop thinking about them. Okay, now we played the downstroke, we're going to play a tap. So I'm literally, I can just open and close my fingers, right? The fulcrum stays in place, the pad of the thumb, and the bit where it makes contact the most, which is actually this finger. Okay, there's your tap. Okay, and then tap is really important because it kind of being able to do that. Now that's just fingers, right? It comes into playing rolls. Look, now I'm doing a mini Moeller to whip my accents out there. And a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay, that's why it's important, that refined control. Now we've played our tap. Now the stick is in a low position, right? Your hand has not really moved. This whole apparatus has stayed in the same place. Now we play the upstroke. So it's a tap and you pick it up. Don't just do that, right? No, just so there. So tap up. So all right. Now the whole point of practicing these is that they form a chain. Whatever sort of different pattern you're playing, whether it's in a groove, we've got down tap, down tap, down tap, down tap, a version of down tap, right? Now you've got 2 of those strokes actively working. And my left hand's playing downs the whole time to play back, nice backbeats. Also because I can rim shot nice and easy, right? Get a nice crack out of the snare without having to mallet it. Bit weird on the electric kit. Okay, that's why I'm showing you these strokes, because they all come into play. Paradiddles, for example, you're starting, one hand's up, one hand's down. It's down, tap, tap, tap. That's a paradiddle. Down, tap, 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 down, tap, 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 right? Right, now look what I've done there. Now I'm doing a Moeller stroke to get the start of each side of my paradiddle going. That makes it sound a lot different, right? Okay, because I have those little motions down, and I've also practiced doing my, the tap strokes, which are basically, I can do doubles. We'll get into doubles more, but I'm doing them quiet, right? Because I'm practicing the fine motor skills of the fingers. I can just sit there and do that and try and do it with as little effort as possible. Don't worry, we'll get into this, but I'm just demonstrating why these strokes are important. Okay. Whatever. Okay, I'm just messing around. Okay, right. All of that is various shades of full down tap up strokes. Okay, and once we practice various rudiments and we start to isolate remember we're isolating each side. Paradiddle. Look, now I'm actually analyzing what my hand is doing. Down to tap tap, down to tap tap, down to tap. And every time I want to do that, if I want to do that in a sequence, I need to do a little Moeller goose before, because it sets up the momentum. I can do a free stroke. Let's give it a different feel. Different situations, okay, for those subtle differences. So let's go through the sequence again. I'm sorry, this is a very long video, but I hope it's useful, right? Stick starts at 90 degrees, returns to 90, that's your full stroke. Stick starts at 90, ends flat, horizontal, that's your downstroke. Stick starts low, ends low. Use your fingers, that's your tap. Stick starts low, ends high, that's your up. So you're actually going fingers, wrist. So we've got wrist, control fingers, fingers, finger, wrist. So it's actually a perfectly set up sequence. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Okay, so now to put that in a sequence, it's a little trickier. I'm actually sweating a little bit now, because I have to show this to you. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Okay, right. All these positions become a little vague when you're actually playing, but they can be pretty consistently controlled. You can also go, so then you do both hands. So I've done my right hand, full, down, whoops, in my leg. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Full, down, tap, up. Now I'm getting confused. Actually, you can hear the first two strokes are loud, loud. So loud, loud, soft, soft. Okay. Look at the potential you can unlock by practicing this a lot. It's frustrating, but it's good. You can do your hands together to calibrate them in a way. Your right hand's probably a bit better than your left hand. Maybe. Full. Full, down. I'm trying not to get them to flam. We don't want that. We want flat flams, which means perfectly together. Look at that. It's a quiet sound from a big movement. Okay. Right. So that's what I want you to practice. Okay, so we've got, let's just recap. This is a fucking free drum lesson for you. Free stroke, wrist only. Moeller stroke, elbow, invert the stick, whip. Or into a free stroke, that was rubbish. Elbow, invert the stick, whip, hit my leg. Okay, or keep it controlled. Okay, full down, tap up, full down, tap up, full down, tap up. Okay, just work on those. Try not to get too crazy with them, but see if you can start to put them into a sequence. Slow, but it's in time. Okay. I would practice each of those individual things. So you got free strokes, Moeller strokes, and the full down tap up sequence. That's 3 different things to practice. Practice each one for like 5 minutes running. No matter how good or bad it is, do it for 5 minutes, like put a timer on, whatever, and just sit down and just work and start to think about your movements and notice stuff that confuses you or feels good or feels weird, all that stuff. Because then now you've got something to play off and go, that worked last time. Now I'm starting to find the knack of it. It's a trick. It's a trick. It's the use of the fulcrum, pressure point. Look, to control the stick. It's like that trick with the pencil. I can't do it now. Yeah, well, you make it look like it's waving and going wonky in the air. Okay, it's that. It's all the stuff is like landing a skateboard trick, and I'm crap at I can't skateboard, but yeah, there's an knack to it, and you can do it.